man, check it out, man. Look, today I'm gonna be reacting to the rise and fall of Young Lava, bro. Look, Young Lava, man. I heard a couple things about him, you know what I'm saying? Don't know too much about him. Some people told me to react to some of his music, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get to it for sure. Young Lava. He coming out of Toronto, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much all I know, bro. I can't say too much about Young Lava. I wish I could say more about Young Lava, but I don't know too much about him. But this video gonna tell me more in depth about this man. It's gonna give me an insight on him before I even react to some of his music. But before I click this play button, make sure you follow me on the gram, man. Follow me on Instagram, man. Run them followers up, man. Run them followers up, man. Look, if you on my Instagram, I post my videos that I already posted that you probably haven't seen, and I post when I'm gonna post a new video, man. Look, so if you want to know when I'm gonna post a new video, or if you missed a video, you can go to my Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna be in the description down below, man. Let's check this video out, bro. Young Lava, my boy, Young Lava.
Alright, so by now you've probably heard the news already. The man referred to as the TK of the North.
Oh, I take that back. What the fuck? I did a video on this nigga Young Lava, bro. The TK. Yeah. I did. Never mind. I take that fucking back, nigga. My dumb ass be forgetting, bro. What the fuck? I did a video on this nigga, man. God damn, bro. I be forgetting. I be doing so many damn videos. Bro, like, when you do a whole bunch of videos, like, you'll forget, like, some information, bro. You forget a lot of shit, bro, when you do a whole bunch of goddamn videos on the nigga, man.
And also the most wanted rapper in the country, has finally been caught after spending almost 2 years on the run. Within just a few days of his arrest, there were news articles, Instagram posts, YouTube videos, and everything in between that started flooding the internet. He made national headlines. People from not only Toronto, but all over North America and beyond are talking about Young Lava. Most of his foreign notoriety came from Trap Geek's video, which is undoubtedly what put him in the mainstream spotlight. It even acted as promotion for his music, with some viewers checking out his songs after and liking them. Since then, Young Lava has kept everyone on their toes. People were wondering where he was or if he'd ever be found. Well, the suspense came to an end on January 10th, 2021, when U.S. Marshals captured him along with another fugitive in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Now that there's a conclusion, I thought this would be a good time to come out of my video hiatus and talk about yet another promising rapper who met the familiar fate of prison. This is the story about the rise and eventual fall of Young Lava. And just a heads up, this video won't be 100% about Young Lava, but anything brought up will be connected to him in some shape, way, or form. Alright, let's get right into it. 29-year-old Dane Adrian Sitladine, better known as Young Lava, is a rapper from the Rexdale area of Toronto. More specifically, he's from a townhouse complex located on Orpington Crescent, referred to as O-Block. He's intertwined with IDS, which is a notorious group out of...
They call it O-Block. I know why they call O-Block over here in Chicago, over there in Chicago, because of the dude that died, Obi Perry, whatever that nigga, Obi Perry. But why do they call this? Why they call this shit O-Block? You know what I'm saying? I know y'all niggas know. I know y'all Toronto niggas know why they call this shit O-Block. Let me know why they call it O-Block, bro.
The Rexdale, composed of different cliques. They're known not only for their hostility, but also for having several notable rappers within their crew. In an interview with We Love Hip Hop Network, Young Lava talks a bit about his upbringing. Generally, Toronto rappers don't like to share too much personal information on camera, so the details are vague, but it's enough to get some sort of picture of Young Lava's life. So he and his two older brothers were raised by their mom, and said that growing up in Rexdale was like growing up in any other hood in Toronto. He describes how police are on you, and basically everyone's just trying to eat and make a living any way they can. Despite any negativity that may have been around, he mentions that while growing up, he met talented people, from those pursuing basketball to others like Young Lava himself, who would try their hand at rap. It all began with an early influence from his family. He recalls how his mom would often listen to R&B artists like R. Kelly, Sade, and Buju Banton, but his brothers on the other hand listened to rap/hip-hop, and that's how he became exposed to the genre, mentioning that his favorite artist of all time is Nas. Young Lava was inspired to hop in front of a microphone by watching things like Rap Sheet DVD, a series from the mid-2000s which was compiled of music videos and freestyles featuring rappers from hoods all over Toronto. Young Lava said that seeing guys from his own area making music and building a buzz made him feel like he could do it too, so he decided to have a crack at it. He said that he made the plunge into rap in 2010 after he was released from youth detention. By spring of 2011, he was already dropping music videos on YouTube and building traction with songs like 100 Miles and Running, Tiger Blood, and Free My Ninjas, originally rapping under the name Lava P. He mentioned that after dropping Tiger Blood, he was already starting to get noticed, and added that the song was actually a freestyle too. His writing process is pretty unorthodox, since he doesn't have one at all. He explained that to this day, he never writes down lyrics on paper, and just goes off memory. Basically, he hops on a beat, feels the vibe, and just starts rapping. But when he first made his debut, Young Lava saw music as just something to do for fun. He said that he never really took it seriously until he was motivated to do so by his oldest brother, named Donovan Sitladine, also known as rapper Young Dubs. He was an OVO-affiliated artist who was making noise in the rap scene in the mid-2010s, known for several tracks such as OG Bobby Johnson, Gang, Panda Free.
OG Bobby Johnson, I think I heard that shit. I know it ain't the American one, but like, is it OG Bobby? Hell nah, it can't be. But he signed the OVO though, so he signed the Drake shit, so he gotta be pretty, you know what I'm saying? He pretty big. He signed the Drake OVO shit, so I know he big. He big in the rap scene.
Freestyle, We Live, Conversations, and more. Young Dubs was also part of IDS, and proudly wore it on his sleeve and his back. With IDS being locked into multiple beefs around the city, Young Dubs' connection to the group may be what played a part in his unfortunate demise. He was shot and killed in Brampton a few years ago, on May 11th of 2017. Residents of a townhouse complex on Garden Gate Circle Boulevard called 911 at around 10:30 p.m. after they heard several gunshots nearby. Police quickly arrived and found Young Dubs lying in a driveway, unresponsive with no vital signs. He had been fatally shot in the head and was pronounced deceased at the scene. He was 28 years old. Another male had been shot, but he was able to drive himself to a hospital, where he was then transported to a trauma center and ultimately survived. The police weren't sure if there was a party or gathering going on inside the unit, and couldn't give details about what led to the shooting, or if it was gang-related. It seemed like they didn't know much about what happened, and apparently they still don't, because the homicide of Young Dubs remains unsolved to this day. In that same interview, Young Lava was asked about how his brother's passing affected him, and he answered that it only made him want to go harder in the rap game. In a way, he wanted to pick up where Young Dubs had left off. Or in other words, it was his turn.
Yeah, cause like bro, when your brother passed away, I'm pretty sure like when his brother passed away, he was looking up. I'm pretty sure he looked up to his brother, you know what I'm saying? And then when he passed away, he was like, "Fuck this shit, like, bro, I gotta carry my bro legacy." You know what I'm saying, niggas? You know what I'm saying? Gotta carry the legacy and carry the I don't know what else to say. I forgot. I can't think of the word, man. Fuck! But y'all know what the fuck I'm thinking about, bruh. Gotta carry that shit on, man. Your brother, you know what I'm saying? You gotta live, you gotta let your brother live through you. Type shit.
In the past, there was a long gap in between Young Lava's music releases. He put out a few songs in the early 2010s, but then goes completely off the radar for several years before he dropped Stop Lying in February of 2017. After Young Dubs passed, that's when Young Lava became much more consistent, releasing quality songs matched with visuals just as good more frequently. A few mentionable songs are It's My Turn Freestyle, Conversations, No Hook, 1800, and On The Block, all of which did numbers. His music video for On The Block, which was released in March of 2019, was actually filmed at the same Brampton complex where Young Dubs was shot a couple years prior. It was obviously intentional rather than a coincidence for Young Lava to film there, but why he did it, I don't know. But it turns out that all three of the Sitladine brothers were somehow linked to that area in Brampton. And with that, this is a good time to bring up 30-year-old Damien Sitladine, the middle child. Well, a decade before Young Lava would film at the complex, Damien allegedly took part in a shootout at the same location, which was described as some type of ambush. A car pulled into the parking lot before being riddled with bullets, and the driver inside the vehicle returned fire. It took place on an afternoon in April 2009, and thankfully no one was injured in the incident. The police arrived to the scene, only to find spent shell casings scattered around, and the suspects were long gone. A month after it happened, 3 men, including Damien, were tracked down, arrested, and charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. I couldn't find any court documents on the case, so I'm not sure if Damien ended up beating the charges, or if he was convicted and served time. But what I do know is that he was back on the streets years later, around spring of 20...
This is still iCarly, but it's grown up now.
iCarly,
Who's ready to get drunk?
You gotta go. iCarly, you gotta go.
2017. It was during the early morning of March 5th when Damien was driving in Mississauga around the Tobram and Derry Road area. He was apparently swerving and driving erratically, which caught the attention of a patrol car. The police had a suspicion that Damien was drunk, so they pulled him over for a traffic stop. The officer requested to see his driver's license, registration, and insurance, all of which he couldn't produce. When asked his name, Damien told the officer that it was Donovan, which is his brother Young Dub's name. Well, it didn't make things any better, considering Donovan had a suspended license, a weapons prohibition, and was considered armed and dangerous. So this only made the police.
This nigga told on his brother. He gave him his brother's name. That's a whole move, man. Why would you tell them niggas your brother's name? Now they finna be on your brother, bro. That's some fucked up
more
shit.
Aggressive. They told who they thought was Donovan that he was under arrest for driving with a suspended license and ordered him to exit the vehicle. Damien was reluctant, so the officers began trying to forcefully get him out of the car. One officer used his knee to strike Damien 3 times, at which point he stopped resisting and was apprehended. Damien was face down on the ground handcuffed when officers rolled him over and noticed something protruding from his waist, which was discovered to be a .40 caliber handgun. He was arrested and charged with numerous firearms-related offenses. He had a bail hearing a few days later, but there's no word on if it was granted or not. In a court document, it says Damien was found factually guilty of several offenses, so he may be in jail as we speak. It didn't look like he was a rapper like his brothers, but all 3 seemed to share one thing in common: getting into trouble with the law. We saw what happened with Young Lava. Damien might be behind bars right now. And in 2008, Young Dubs was charged with possession of crack with the purpose of trafficking, pointing a firearm, and other gun-related offenses. It's safe to say that the Sitladine brothers are about that life. But unfortunately, that life usually only ends up one of 2 ways: dead or in jail. It's a pretty cliche saying, but it remains accurate to this day. Moving on, let's talk a little bit more about IDS, the group that the brothers were part of. So IDS has been locked into a deadly beef with 3L, or Northside Jane, for quite some time now. It's the notorious Rexdale vs Driftwood feud that's been going on for ages, with a trail of shootings and bodies behind it. The 2 opposing sides have perpetually been going at each other, in songs and in person. There's a video from 2017 that shows Young Lava jogging through Vaughan Mills Mall, being chased by apparently 3L members, including 21 Neat and Super Wasi. The men followed Young Lava while yelling at him, until he eventually turns around and swings a punch, at which point the video cuts off. Supposedly, his chain was taken after the fight, and it was posted somewhere on social media. As a Reddit user commented, there wasn't much Young Lava could do in this situation, considering he was likely outnumbered, so all he could do was hold his own. Another comment said that he actually had a bench warrant at the time, so he was trying to avoid trouble. I brought up this video because I know if I don't, someone will probably comment about it anyways. Also, I wanted to show an example of the types of situations that just add fuel to the fire and continues the unrelenting beef. When the 2 rivals aren't face to face, they stay active by calling each other out in their songs. With Young Lava being a popular rapper from Rexdale, he was at the forefront of the beef and was a prime target, but that didn't stop him from being involved. Since he had an audience, he used this music to antagonize and taunt members of 3L and other foes. In several of his songs, there are lyrics that take jabs at his ops, and some of the disses aren't so subtle either. Young Lava often targets BFR, or Blue Feather Records, which is a music label backed by some of the most popular rappers of 3L. People sending shots through songs is nothing new, and usually it's never a one-sided thing. In this case, rappers from Northside Jane definitely make sure to even the score with their own music. Houdini, YG, 21 Neat, and others have not only dissed IDS in their songs, but specifically Young Lava, and even his brother. Young Dub's passing has been used by rivals as a way of disrespecting Young Lava and IDS. There have been not only lyrics, but even Snapchat posts by 3L members talking down on Young Dubs.
Happy birthday, it was all there really too. For 15.
But as I said, it's never a one-sided thing. When a member of 3L passes away, IDS members make sure to return the favor with their own antics. It's this kind of back and forth disrespect that keeps constant tension and bad blood between Rexdale and Driftwood. Coming back to that interview once again, the host asked Young Lava a good question about if diss tracks are holding rappers back, or if it's just something that has to happen. Young Lava said that it's not something that necessarily has to happen, but it's just part of the culture. He mentions how there are mainstream rappers from the city, like Tory Lanez, who do the same thing, implying it's just part of the rap industry in general, which in my opinion is true. There's constantly new beef and diss tracks popping up all the time, in both underground and mainstream rap. It's not uncommon, and in most cases, it can be entertaining. People generally get excited when artists clash and take to the microphone to address each other. That being said, when diss tracks or certain lyrics in songs lead to people getting hurt or killed, it becomes something other than just music or entertainment. When you look at popular Hollywood-type rap feuds, most of the time it never takes a violent turn. That's because the beef usually isn't that deep, and it's just superficial dissing. It's more of a business move and a way for a rapper to get noticed or stay relevant. That's not to say all mainstream rap beefs are publicity stunts, but some of them are, and others are artificially prolonged.
Trying to go back and forth killing each other, like, bro, them niggas got money, like, you know what I'm saying? The mainstream rappers ain't gonna risk that shit all just to kill a nigga, you know what I'm saying? They ain't finna do that.
Just for clout. But in underground rap, especially in cities like Chicago, or in this case Toronto, it only takes a minuscule amount of mockery in a song to see retaliation from the other side. They'll send a shot back, but it's not always in the form of a lyric. Things often become deadly because the disses in question are usually personal and beyond disrespectful. Once rappers start making threats, along with bringing up people's dead relatives and friends, it's more than just lines in a song at that point. And unless everyone unanimously agrees to stop dissing each other, it's something that's going to be prevalent in rap. Until then, music will continue to be used as a method of calling out rivals, which sometimes spills out into the streets and ends up violent. Speaking of which, in that same interview, the host asked Young Lava this question, which I'll play back right now.
What do you think that we can do for 2019 to bring down like the violence and the crime that's going on in the city? You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not talking about the black community or hip hop community. I'm talking about Toronto as a whole.
Me personally, I don't even know nothing about that, man. I don't know nothing about that shit.
It's unfortunate that Young Lava and his entourage wouldn't have more suggestions on how to lower violence in Toronto. I understand the host was trying to bring some positivity to the interview, but honestly, this was kind of like asking a cigarette company how to cure lung cancer. I'm not trying to be like Vlad TV and incriminate anyone here, but at the same time, let's not beat around the bush. The guys sitting across the table have probably personally contributed to the violence in the city, so it makes sense why they wouldn't have a meaningful answer. I mean, Young Lava is literally in jail right now on a murder charge, but maybe he believes violence is just part of rap culture too. And since we're already talking about Young Lava's charge, we might as well go over what happened in the first place. You likely already heard the details, but I'll take a moment to go over them anyways. This was the event that essentially set off Young Lava's race from the police. It was on May 1st, 2019, just after 1 p.m., when 911 received a call about a shooting that occurred inside of a townhouse unit. It was at 256 John Garland Boulevard, just one of the many complexes in Rexdale. When first responders arrived and made entry into the unit, they found 26-year-old Blaine Grindley lying on the floor, suffering multiple...
I'm sorry if I ain't talking that much in this video. I'm just trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get all this shit in. I'm just paying attention and getting a lot of this information in, you know what I'm saying? That's why I ain't talking that much. I'm just paying attention, focused type shit. Focused.
Multiple gunshot wounds. Despite many efforts to revive him, he died on the scene. Police didn't make any comments about a motive for the attack. All they said was that a vehicle involved in the shooting was caught on video, which was later traced to an owner living in the GTA. Seemingly having little information to work from, the police still took major strides in their investigations. It's not mentioned how, but they were able to come up with a few names relating to the homicide. Within 2 weeks, the police announced that they had 3 suspects. On May 15, 2019, Canada-wide murder warrants were issued for a 29-year-old man that's not Kawhi Leonard, but actually named Michael Smith, along with 21-year-old...
That nigga look like Kawhi, bro. That nigga look like just like Kawhi, man. Speaking of Kawhi, bro, Toronto niggas, bro, how y'all feel about Kawhi, bro? Do y'all love or hate this nigga? Do y'all hate for what when he left Toronto, or do y'all love him for bringing a championship to Toronto? You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all love him, some of y'all hate him, bro. I just want to know how y'all feel. You know what I'm saying? What spectrum y'all on of the love or the hate of Kawhi Leonard? Cause like he did bring y'all niggas a championship, something that y'all ain't never had. He brought y'all first championship, so y'all gotta love him for that. Cause he ain't have to do that. He ain't have to come there and bring y'all niggas a title. Cause like, you know what I'm saying? He could have been somewhere else in a more desirable place. Well, I ain't gonna say Toronto's a bad place, but like, you know what I'm saying? He could have, you know what I'm saying? Where he at, like, he in LA, you know what I'm saying? You know, the hot, you know, it's cold out there in Toronto, you know what I'm saying? I know y'all know it's real, like, you know, the winters is brutal out there, you know what I'm saying? Niggas get real cold out there, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, Toronto. I ain't gonna say, like, it's a bad city to be at, but, like, the winter. Like it gets so cold out there. That's the thing about Toronto. It's so fucking cold. But like, how y'all niggas feel about Kawhi Leonard, bro? For real.
Year-old Andre Dowse, and last but not least, Young Lava. Within just a few days, Andre turned himself in. About a week after that, on May 20th, Michael also surrendered. Both of the men were charged with first-degree murder. But the last suspect, Young Lava, wasn't planning on giving up that easily. Weeks went by, which turned to months, and he was nowhere to be found. Eventually, Young Lava was put on Toronto's most wanted list, and would remain on it for years to come. Once his face was plastered on that wanted poster, along with the fact that he was a rapper, suddenly he began receiving attention from outside of the city. He was the subject of a wild story waiting to be scooped up. This is when he caught the attention of Trap Geek, who dropped a video covering Young Lava that reached over 2.5 million views. It's no secret that from an American perspective, Toronto has a reputation for being soft. It is what it is, and you can't really change their minds. So when someone was being referred to as the...
I know Toronto ain't soft, nigga. Like, some Americans say Toronto soft, but me, I know them niggas is really about that shit over there in Toronto. I know... Trust me, I know y'all niggas is really like that over there in Toronto. I know y'all niggas really stretching shit. I know y'all niggas really killing shit over there in Toronto. It's rough over there.
TK of Canada, it came as a surprise, and viewers were interested in hearing about the story. Obviously, Toronto isn't all butterflies, apologies, and marshmallows, contrary to foreign opinions. And in a way, Young Lava was a reflection of other goons in the city, and his story shed light on the gritty side of Toronto that most outsiders are unaware of. Even though Young Lava is being compared to TK, some people think Lava was the smarter of the two, because while on the run, he was apparently releasing pre-recorded music videos to confuse the authorities. But I think the smartest move would probably be to try and stay off the internet entirely, and that's not what Young Lava did. Not only is it reported that he would sometimes make posts on his Instagram, but he even appeared on someone's live stream. He joined Southside Jane rapper NHSJJ's live sometime in July of 2019, in which he didn't show his face, but you hear him talking as he casually walks around the streets at night. Besides keeping a presence on social media, Young Lava also put out a couple songs while he was on the run. He dropped the tracks Murder Crest, Real Spit, and also Quitter, which was just released recently and is a blatant Houdini diss. Young Lava also featured on an album by Mula First called Pandemic Rex, which dropped last summer, but his vocals could have just been pre-recorded. I'm not sure. Whatever the case was, Young Lava made sure to stay relevant in the rap game, despite being a wanted man. And so that brings us to the climax of the story, Young Lava's arrest, the end of his race. As you know, he was arrested in Minnesota, USA, which is just over the border, not incredibly far from Toronto. More specifically, it was on an interstate highway near the small town of Fergus Falls. But before I get into that, it turns out that it wasn't Young Lava's first time getting arrested in Minnesota. This is where there was a bunch of confusion. Someone named Dane Adrian Sitladine was arrested in Hennepin County, Minneapolis in June of 2019. He was charged with aggravated robbery, and his booking details are available to read online. The information went public when it was posted on the Torontology Reddit sub, where most people thought it was just a coincidence, and the person arrested wasn't Young Lava, but rather just shared the exact same name. The confusion is partly because one of the sites detailing his arrest showed a blurred mugshot. Even though you can't see the picture in full clarity, you can tell that it doesn't resemble Young Lava. It looks like a white guy with long straight hair. Also, if it was actually him, then it wouldn't make sense. He was still on Toronto's most wanted list, and there would have been some type of news in Canada of his arrest, or so you would think. Well, the Dane Adrian Sitladine who was arrested in Minneapolis was in fact Young Lava, so I'm assuming those blurred mugshots on the site just aren't accurate. There may have been a lack of communication between US and Canadian law enforcement agencies. This could be because Young Lava's first arrest was in June of 2019, which was just a month after Blaine Grindley was killed, and just weeks after a warrant was issued for his arrest. So maybe his fresh warrant wasn't showing up in their system, since it wasn't yet entered into a national database, essentially allowing Young Lava to slip through the cracks. Also, he had a bogus piece of ID, which appears in his second arrest, so that could have played a part in it as well. I would consider him to be quite lucky, since a simple search of the name Dane Sitladine on Google would have shown that he was wanted for murder. But anyways, as for the aggravated robbery, well, he must have been able to get bail or beat the charge somehow, because he was eventually released in the months after. He should have treated the close call as a warning sign, but regrettably he didn't. Instead, he added more heat to his situation by linking up with a fellow fugitive from Toronto, 29-year-old Muzamil Adao. Muzamil was doing his own race, evading Canadian police for a bizarre kidnapping he was involved with in March of 2019. He He was identified as one of the 4 men responsible for kidnapping a 22-year-old university student named Wanzin Liu in Markham, Ontario.
Yeah, I think I did some on him too. No, I didn't do some on him, but he was in the video. This dude right here, they said he robbed this dude. Cause this little dude, this nigga right here was like rich. He had Gucci, all that type of shit. He had like hella nice cars, hella nice clothes and shit. And he had kidnapped him and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Wanzin was in the parking garage of his condo building at around 6 p.m. when he was suddenly approached by 3 masked men. He was zapped with a stun gun before being forced inside of a stolen minivan, driven by a 4th man. Wanzin came from a wealthy family and was known for living a lavish lifestyle, owning a Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, and a Range Rover. That's likely the reason why he was targeted. He was even wearing a $2,000 Gucci hoodie when he was kidnapped. Wanzin's disappearance was noticed quickly, and a huge search effort was launched before a ransom demand was made by the suspects. Although the police didn't comment on how or when exactly the demand was received, or what amount of money was sought. Miraculously, about 3 days after being kidnapped, Wanzin was able to escape the house he was being held hostage, which was some 200 kilometers northeast of Markham, in Gravenhurst, Ontario. He approached the house in a small cottage town and knocked on the door. The homeowner who answered called 911, and the OPP arrived to get Wanzin. Investigators were productive, and within a few months, 3 of the 4 men responsible were behind bars, with each of them facing a heavy slew of charges. The last suspect was Muzamil, who was still at large. He was wanted for 7 charges, including kidnapping, forcible confinement, and assault with a weapon. On top of that, he was also wanted on 15 firearms-related offenses related to a separate incident. Muzamil was surely no stranger to the police either. In September of 2018, he was among 9 people arrested after a search warrant was executed on a Rexdale home. Police seized 2 firearms, 100 grams of coke, and $10,000 in cash. All 9 people were charged with the same 17 offenses. To summarize, like Young Lava, the police considered Muzamil to be armed and dangerous. But rather than laying low, the 2 were out and about, continuing their crime spree. We're now at the final arrest of Young Lava, and here's how it went down. On January 10, 2021, just after 10 p.m., a Minnesota state trooper was driving east on I-94 near Fergus Falls when he passed a pickup truck that was heading in the opposite direction at a high rate of speed. The trooper made a U-turn and caught up with the Chevrolet Silverado that had Texas plates and pulled the vehicle over. The truck was discovered to be a rental belonging to Hertz. When the trooper asked to see the driver's license, the man handed over an ID from Ontario, bearing the name Zakaria Tajir. The passenger, on the other hand, had an ID from Florida, with the name Dane Sitladine. So there were 2 men, one from Ontario, one from Florida, driving on a Minnesota highway, in a truck registered to be from Texas. You can imagine the trooper already had some suspicion, so he further questioned the men, which only made things worse for them, since they couldn't get their story straight. When asked about where they were headed, the driver already had a narrative prepared. He said that he was on his way to Fargo, a city in North Dakota, to work for his uncle's construction company. He went on to say that he and the passenger recently flew into Minnesota from Canada and rented the truck at the airport. It would have been a solid explanation, but the passenger had a different story. He said that he didn't fly in from Canada and actually lived in Minneapolis. But like the driver, the passenger said he was also going to work.
Y'all niggas gotta be together, bro. Y'all, when the police stop y'all be like, all right, so look, this is what we're gonna tell the police. We coming to do this, do that, and that. Y'all gotta have everything down packed before. You know what I'm saying? When the police come, y'all gotta have y'all stories down packed on what y'all finna do, bro. Y'all got 2 different stories, bro. Y'all fucked yourselves up, bro.
Same construction company, which both men couldn't specifically name. The trooper sensed that something fishy was going on, so he asked the driver to step out and walk back to his patrol car so they could talk privately. This is when the driver changed his answer and now said that he didn't fly in with the passenger and that the 2 met through his cousin about a month earlier. But once again, their stories didn't match up, because the passenger later told the trooper that they had actually known each other for over a year. Someone clearly wasn't being truthful, which motivated the trooper to investigate further. He said he smelt weed coming from the truck and asked the driver for permission to search it, in which he agreed, as long as the trooper didn't open the bags that were inside. The trooper then patted down both of the men and told them to stand away while he searched the vehicle. He opened up one of the doors and noticed a few duffel bags and knapsacks on the back seat and floor. Breaking his promise, the trooper unzipped one of the bags and saw about a dozen guns and high-capacity magazines, at which point he immediately radioed for backup. He approached the two suspects and told them to put their hands on top of their heads. The driver didn't comply at first and attempted to make a call on his cell phone before having a brief conversation on his Apple Watch. Once the other officers arrived, it was discovered that the passenger, Dane Sitladine, or Young Lava, was wanted by U.S. Marshals for not only murder, but also for fentanyl distribution and possession of proceeds of crime. He was promptly arrested, along with the driver, thought to be named Tajir, who was booked for carrying a firearm without a permit. But after U.S. investigators spoke with Toronto police, they found out that the driver was using someone else's ID, and he was identified as Muzamil Adao. It's not known how the two were able to enter the country, since there was no record of either of the men crossing the border legally. In total, the police recovered 67 firearms that were stuffed into 4 bags. Out of all the weapons, only a single one was loaded with live ammunition. I don't know what they were doing with 67 guns, but it's possible that they planned to either smuggle them into Canada or sell them across the United States. So that's how the bust went down. But of course, we have to address some questions that arise. Like, what in the world was Young Lava and Muzamil thinking? First of all, if you're on the run, it's probably not the best idea to hang around someone else on the run. It's basically doubling your chances of being noticed and getting caught. On top of that, the two weren't even trying to lay low or hide out. As a YouTube commenter pointed out, looking at Young Lava's recent mugshot, he didn't make any attempt on changing his appearance. Not only that, but he and Muzamil were still just going out in public, carrying on with their life like they weren't fugitives. They also continued to commit crimes, despite already being wanted on some serious charges. And finally, the fact that they were speeding. They had enough guns in the back seat to arm a small militia, so you'd think they drive the speed limit to avoid any unnecessary attention. If they weren't zooming down the highway, going over 100 miles per hour as reported, maybe the trooper who passed wouldn't have noticed them. But I guess we'll never know. I couldn't help but be reminded of Tyke, another Toronto rapper who went on the run for a murder and fled to Aruba. Similar to Young Lava, he ended up being caught only after committing more crime and essentially giving himself away. If they just stayed under the radar and maintained a low profile, there's no telling if they would have ever been caught. As to what happens next, well, there's not much information out so far. It's reported that Young Lava is being held in a federal jail and that he already made an appearance in a Minnesota courtroom. It's not clear if he'll have to face his charges in the US before being extradited or if his case in Canada will take priority. But it's safe to assume he'll be in the US for the time being, while his case is figured out. As for Muzamil, well, a York police constable named Laurie Nicole confirmed that they were notified of his arrest and are working to have him return to Canada to face trial. But again, there was no word on what would happen to Young Lava. All that's certain is that 2 high-profile criminals who had been evading police for quite some time were finally caught, and whatever plan they had that involved those dozens of guns was foiled.
This is an iPhone 11 Pro from Back Market. They specialize in refurbished devices that feel like new as second.
And that concludes the story of Dane Sitladine, Young Lava. He's a talented rapper, and just from looking at comments around the internet, there's no doubt that he had plenty of fans, most of which were disappointed that he was caught. You can already find an abundance of free Young Lava posts all over the place. Not many Toronto rappers drop music videos and get millions of views, so when a song does do those kinds of numbers, it's notable. And Young Lava even had 2 tracks that surpassed 1 million, with his less popular one still racking in hundreds of thousands of views. He was one of the most buzzing rappers in the city, and arguably one of the hottest out of rec still, with his music still being the most viewed videos on their YouTube page. It's undeniable that Young Lava had the potential to elevate in the rap game, but like several other artists from the city, whatever he was getting up to in the streets got in the way of making music. And now he's sitting in jail, and there's no telling on when he'll get out. He's facing 2 separate sets of charges, in both Canada and the US, so Young Lava may be incarcerated for the foreseeable future. Unless he's one of those rappers who continues recording music from behind bars, this could be the end of his music career. We saw the rise of Young Lava, but unfortunately we had to watch him fall as well. Even though it was in a negative light, his antics still brought exposure to Toronto and put eyes on the city. Some people may look into his music after hearing about him, which in turn could lead to them listening to other artists in the city too, so maybe there can be some good to come out of a bad situation. That being said, I hope Young Lava's story doesn't give off the impression that you need to be a most wanted criminal to get national attention as a rapper. But let's be honest, in the genre of rap and hip-hop, there's nothing that resonates more than someone who actually lives what they rap about. So that's it for this video. A special thanks to those who made it this far, and I do wish Young Lava all the best in court, but he better call Saul because he's got some heavy charges to deal with. Until next time, stay safe.
Man, this shit shit crazy, man. Bro went all the way up and then fell right back down. Got his ass locked up. He might not never be out, bro. That's tough, bro. This whole little story is crazy. My nigga was hot. He went on the run. But his ass went on the run with another nigga that was on the run. And that's double hot. And then these niggas was still doing crimes, bro. Yo, these niggas way too hot, bro. They put this shit on their goddamn self. They got they own self caught. Shit crazy, man. But anyway, man, look. If you like this type of video and you like this type of content, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell, man. I'm out.